Hi, my name's Ben and we are back with Season 2 of Our People, Our Stories, the series that uncovers what makes South Canterbury not just an amazing place to visit, but an incredible place to live, work and build a business. So let's find out what makes this place so special. From thriving local businesses to hidden community gems, I'm sitting down with the people who make this region tick. Entrepreneurs, creatives, and everyday legends who call South Canterbury home. What better way to start Season 2 than by interviewing a couple who are synonymous with the word community? Today we're interviewing Lionel and Lynette Wilson, both powerhouses in the volunteer space. Lionel, Lynette, amazing to be having you here for this interview. Really appreciate you taking the time. I know that you're both very busy people and it's a massive privilege for me to be speaking with you both today. So thank you very much. I think to get started, it'd be awesome to talk a wee bit about your personal backgrounds. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Right, thanks Ben, thanks for inviting us. It's a pleasure for us as well. Myself, born in Southland, northern Southland, and moved to Otago when I was 13. Went to secondary school there and started varsity as well as work. I was a cadet for NMA, which is the National Mortgage and Agency Company, and that was my first job. However, on the first semester where I had a holiday, we went round the South Island and I met Lynette just before New Year on that holiday.
Yeah, thanks Ben. I was born and bred in Timaru, raised in South Canterbury until I met Lionel. Mine also was, I left school, family went on a South Island holiday and we met at the Spring Creek camping ground where Lionel's family was packing their camping gear in at the site behind ours, and the boys didn't have a hammer, so my dad lent them the hammer.
Yeah, I was one of three. I had two surfing mates because we had our surfboards in tow as well. So so as well as being a family holiday, it was also a surfing holiday. And that was very good. And of course, it all happened around New Year. And we then went our different ways, but I rang her up and said, look, we've got to go to this, was it a wedding or an engagement?
Yes.
And would you come down? So that's where it started. And 51 years of marriage and 55 years later, we're still here.
Yeah, it was kind of like, it was distance, travelling up and down by bus or rail car, buying our cars and travelling by car. It's a little bit different now, and it's a relationship built on trust, and letters, the good old post.
Yeah.
So
It'd
now
be
it's
interesting I wonder how many across that span of time. I wonder how many letters were sent between the two of you. It's very interesting. Yeah.
Hundreds.
Yeah. 2.5 years before we got married, and so when we got married, I moved to Dunedin, where we lived for 3.5 years, I suppose. And decided that when we were ready to build a house, we would move back up to Timaru because the climate was better than Dunedin, and we had family up here.
Yeah.
And better golf courses as well, and you could get on a golf course at a whim, and you still can. And that was a thing that I really enjoyed at that time. And of course, Lynette's dad was a good golfer as well. So that was a thing in common that we did, was to play golf.
Yeah. It certainly wasn't for the surfing. Lionel left his surfing behind in Dunedin and was absolutely horrified at the waves that we have in Caroline Bay here.
Yeah.
But the area sold it.
Yeah.
We're a special part of the world, really. It's paradise, it is.
Yeah. Definitely.
You know, you're in the middle of nowhere and, well, in the middle of everything. It's really good.
Were there any key moments, you know, through that time, both before you met each other and, you know, after that, I guess formed you into the people that you are today, or gave you the set of values that you live your life by?
My family had always been, my dad involved with rugby. My mum would be working in the pie shop up at the at Fraser Park on the Saturdays. It's kind of come full circle. So it was a family that was always community orientated, and you made friends. You know, the rugby club was just my bigger brothers, or I've got a younger brother, but they were my bigger brothers. And if you're out in the town, they'll always look out for you and their families. And still today, you know, they still recognise you up the street, it just helps that community. Just family focused, I think it was.
Exactly.
Always service to the community, really.
Yes, and my father was a volunteer fireman and also a St John's ambulance officer as well, and that was in northern Southland. And the fire brigade was created because our family house, which was only 18 months old, burnt to the ground.
Oh, wow.
Because of faulty wiring. And the fire brigade became a fire brigade because of the then need to actually have a fire brigade. And of course, my dad was very interested in driving and in safety, so St John's ambulance driver, volunteer of course, he would quite often head off, say an evening, there may have been an accident near, say, Tiana or somewhere like that. He would go there, probably alone, and catch up with the emergency services and then transport patients to Invercargill, Kew Hospital down there, and get home at, say, 7 o'clock in the morning, and then go to work.
That's unbelievable, eh? That's just such an incredible, you know, like, I mean, it's really cool. I can see where you get your community focus from, and also with you know, the community with the rugby team and things, you know. It's like, I guess the big focus for you guys is you feel like, you know, this has been a part of your, you know, your family. It's always been involved. It's always been, you know, Yeah,
we've always wanted to be that glue that community has, so that communities can function better.
Yeah, that's inspirational. Yeah.
It's kind of where you build your networks with when you're working or associating with people of all different ages. You pick up knowledge, you pick up stuff that you actually don't realise that you're doing. And those links and that knowledge, that networking sort of helps. You know, so we built our house here, had our first son, and then I was 6 months pregnant with our second son, and Lionel got the diagnosis that he had cancer and had his leg amputated. So at 29, that was a big change in our lives. But with family around and support, it made it easier, and the community just it just was there.
Yeah.
We didn't feel isolated, and there was always somebody that was willing to help, or you know, the medical profession were great, even though we're in Timaru and the amputation happened in Christchurch. It was just that, like, you need to go to Christchurch. Mum and Dad just said, that's it, we just take Blair and you go.
Yeah.
Which meant that we didn't have that extra stress.
And we could focus on what we needed to do, just as well as the prep for the amputation and also the recovery afterwards. I only spent, a week in Christchurch Hospital and then transferred back here to Timaru Hospital and started work again 5 weeks after the amputation. So
Wow.
yeah, that was interesting because I knew that I needed to get back and get focused again, because the worst thing I could do for my own recovery is to dwell on what's happened and become inward.
So, getting bone cancer, you've got one baby and one on the way. Must have been, I guess I would have been terrified. You've got these, dependents, or you've got one and another one on the way. You've just formed a family. Like, what was that like? Was that pretty disorientating, or?
There's probably two answers to that. I'm always particularly sort of focused, and I can form a vision. So one of the things that helped me was that I had already attuned myself to being one-legged even before the operation. I knew that was important for me, so I could put myself in that space. And not everybody can, so it becomes traumatic. Professor Bill Gillespie, who was a fantastic surgeon, he gathered around him specialists for any surgery that he was doing, so that he wasn't trying to do stuff on the edges of a skill level. And that wasn't done. He was the person that pioneered that technique of having a team of specialists for a big operation. So I didn't know how lucky I was, really.
I think because Lionel's always set goals, and as he said, he's has a vision, and that's helped. I remember him asking a couple of days after the amputation, he asked for some crutches. And they said, no, there's a whole process. You've got to go through the physios, the OT, everything. Just bide your time. And he said, no, I need to get up. I need to be moving. So he asked an orderly for some crutches. About 3 days after the op, I suppose. And so the orderly, okay, not on my head though. So he brings the crutches, because as Lionel said, he'd been lying there just sorting this out in his head. So he brought him the crutches and he was up and going.
Wow.
To us, that was a help, because we could see what he needed to do and what he wanted to do. So we just have to help him. We don't say we can't do it. It's just, let's find a way. There must be a way. So the boys were involved in rugby, scouts, cricket, soccer, all sorts, you name it, they were into it, and very supportive, and on school PTAs, school boards, scout committees, just being part of the community and helping with maybe skills that we'd picked up, whether it be a meeting skill or time management or something like that.
As part of the Junior Chamber International, which locally was called JCs at the time, was for 18 to 40-year-olds, and as well as being a community organisation, it's also a leadership training organisation. And I went down the leadership training angle, which then meant that I was training people around the South Island, around leadership, around team development, around the whole management focus of how to motivate and achieve goals with teams of people. And that extended to New Zealand wide and then into Asia.
Wow.
A good number of times doing leadership training. and that also was for organisations, banks and that sort of thing. So
Yeah, wow.
And that's part of the reason our boys got to see the South Island, especially because if Dad was going away to Cromwell, to Leader, or Queenstown, or whatever, we would go too. So we'd make it a road trip, and at the end of it, of the weekend, the boys and I would be recounting all the things that we'd seen and done, the playgrounds that we'd visited, and the things that we'd got photos and everything of. And Dad would be saying, well, I spent the weekend in a training room.
How exciting.
But they got to have an appreciation of music and conversation on the trip there and back. And to this day, still have conversations about music and some of the music choices that were playing at that time. We'd have a CD or a tape going, and it'd be a good way to listen to a whole side of one, not just one whole album, not just one side. Hunting of the Snark was it was a great one, and because they were 80s babies, and Hunting of the Snark, and there was one that we would always, if we started from Timaru,
Brothers in Arms by
Dire Straits, we'd be heading up to the lakes, and we'd put that on, and you could almost guarantee that they'd be asleep because it just sent them to sleep in the car.
Yeah.
And those are sort of like memories that you have, whether it's so it was never a chore that Lionel would be travelling around. Because family went with them, and we experienced life together, really.
As well as doing different things.
Yeah.
Now I see you both wearing some interesting clothes, and it looks like all of them say something about Rotary Club. I'm guessing that you are a big part of the Rotary Club. In fact, I know because I've spent some time with you guys over the last wee while seeing what you do. But I would love it if you could tell me a little bit about your journey into Rotary and, what Rotary means to you.
Right. Well, Rotary has changed. I went from Junior Chamber International, JCs, because at 40 they throw you out. You're not allowed to be any older than 40. And I'd been approached by a Rotarian to become a Rotarian, and that's the way it happens. I said no initially because at that point the Timaru Rotary Club did not have any women as them in their membership. Rotary was very late in adopting women coming into community organisations. For example, JCI had done it in 1973, where it was 1989 for Rotary. And it was 1991 when Meg Parkin became a member of the Rotary Club of Timaru. And I said then to my sponsor, yes, I'm willing to become a Rotarian now because you have ladies in Rotary.
That is so cool that you had that value. And obviously Rotary was still doing good things, but you said, no, this is one of my values.
Yep.
I don't want to be part of something until that. Yeah, that's awesome.
So that was my condition already, that I knew how much better Rotary could be with the whole population rather than only half the population being involved.
That's a good way to put it.
Inclusive, what's that word? Inclusiveness.
Yeah.
Inclusive.
Yeah. I mean, the fact is, and also with my involvement as a person in relation to disability organisations had already happened because I was the area manager for IAC at the time. And of course, excluding people because of things that really didn't pertain to their own skill or their own ability to be a good person shouldn't be the reason people were excluded.
Yeah.
Women, people with disabilities shouldn't be excluded because of some thing going in people's heads of why they shouldn't. So that was, again, very much a standpoint for me, and of course I became a Rotarian in September of 92. I became a club president in 2001 for the Rotary Club of Timaru, and that was the start of the journey really to be involved in Rotary in a bigger way, not just in a Rotary Club, but as a Rotary District and a Rotary Zone and
Wow.
Rotary International. So you may see on here it says DG 2009-10. That means in Rotary language that I was a district governor for those years, for District 9980, which no longer exists. That was half of the South Island, whereas we're now in 9999, which is the whole of the South Island. And that has been, again, the change of how Rotary has changed. We are now in a situation where our club has 50% women, which I'm very proud of, because it means that it has the right understanding of community, where you've got to be part of your community to reflect your community. We probably don't do it as well in an ethnic way, and we need to do more work in that space.
Yeah, and I think the values of Rotary and the areas of focus, caring for the environment, saving mothers and children, peace, just resonated, I think. I was always a partner of a Rotarian. I was a member of Inner Wheel for 13 years. Inner Wheel doesn't exist in Timaru any longer, but that was for wives and partners of Rotarians. And it always bugged me because I thought, why should you have a different group?
Just for that, yeah.
For that. When we're the ones, we're also helping. It didn't mean to say that the wives or partners weren't helping the Rotarians, because a lot of the time they were, and in their businesses, their secretaries or their staff members were helping them, but they weren't the Rotarians. So I was asked to become a member of, I think it was Timaru South at that time, and they were an all-male group. And I thought about that, and I thought, got to be reasonably strong to be there. But in the end, it was just the fact of 2 different nights, and then I was 2 different nights, 2 different focuses, different clubs, and I was approached to become a member of the Timaru Rotary Club.
Yeah.
So I became a member in 2010, which happened to be the year that Lionel was district governor. But part of that also was me travelling around as a district governor. You travel around the all the different 33 clubs, 66 clubs or whatever, in your district, and you go to speak with them and you meet some wonderful people. And by travelling around with Lionel doing that, we met some wonderful people doing some great stuff, and I thought, actually, I'm doing most of this stuff as a partner anyway, I might as well just join.
Yeah.
So I said yes finally, and joined.
Yeah.
And I've got no regrets.
That's cool.
So it's sharing those focuses, the different empathy with community. Became president in 2014-15, and then I've just served the last 2 years as president of the club again, and I served 4 years as assistant governor to the district governor at the time. So got to know some pretty cool people, and helping different clubs around the district and the South Island really. So it's been great, and it still is. Enjoy that, and we've done a lot of international travel. Went to World Convention in Singapore last year, which is great. Been lots of conventions around New Zealand and see the facilities, and we come back to Timaru. We still love South Canterbury and what Timaru's got to offer, and still sell that. A conference area would be great. That's the one thing, but it's the opportunities that exist. We were involved with Rotary Youth Exchange for probably 20 years, and with that was helping students who may be 16 on their journey, taking a gap year maybe overseas. Lionel was chair of that district committee. We were both on it. And to see a 16-year-old go off with their pack on their back and then come back as a more mature 17-year-old maybe, or a 17-year-old, 18-year-old going out. It's really, really cool because you can see that the growth that they have had, and through the year you've been able to help if there's been a problem, or and the inbound students coming in as well. We've hosted, and we've also taken North Island tour 4 times. So we often had the question, why would you want to go on holiday with 11 teenagers? And we say, why not? Why would you not? Our kids were left school and doing their thing by that stage. Why would you not? We had so many laughs, so many experiences. It's great.
And having 10 or 11 students, 16 to 18-year-olds from all over the world that are seeing our country for the first time, and being able to see New Zealand through somebody else's eyes and their perceptions is a wondrous thing, and people should do it. Not only get out and see your country, but also do it in a way which means that you are experiencing with fresh eyes, and even a whole heap of fresh eyes that make you appreciate what we have and what we need to keep as well.
Yeah, definitely. And Rotary does, especially in Timaru and South Canterbury, Rotary does a lot of work in the community as well. I've been around some of the areas. Can you tell me a little bit about those things?
Well, yes, and they're extensive. I mean, from the wood group, which obtain wood from a wood manufacturing company and use the offcuts for firewood for people in need, elderly, people with disabilities, for people that are unable to do that for themselves, gives them a chance to live a normalised life and stay warm in the winter, because South Canterbury winters are cold and sometimes they don't have the wherewithal to have wood, and through the social agencies that we have in South Canterbury, we provide wood and kindling for people that need it, including refugees, and that's been a development which has made me smile.
Yeah, so a lot of we don't sell the wood. We don't we do it all. We don't decide who gets it. We get the referral. We get an address to send it to take it to, and we deliver. And some of our members, getting a bit older, 20 kg bags of wood each person. Each delivery gets, we use 20 kg bags that have been previously meal bags from the dairy farms or farmers. So we reuse those, recycle those. And if you're going up steps and driveways and everything else, a lot of families that we found we could have been delivering to could have been the refugee families who are, and part of that is because if you're renting a house and you've come in just recently, you come into our brutal winter, you haven't had time to get a load of wood, of dry firewood, and so you need some wood instantly. So, and then we would make a rapport with some of the people that we were seeing, and thought, well, how about would the refugee people, some of them, might like to help us out. So we approached Tracy, and yes, we've had a group of 4, sometimes 5, depending on our deliveries, come and join us on the Wednesdays when we do the deliveries, and it's been absolutely great because they pick up 2 bags. I can pick up 1. And we have a bit of banter. It helps with the English, and it just gives just a different focus and integration into our community that they possibly wouldn't have had either.
Yeah.
So that's been a new situation that we've had this winter, and that's led on to the fact that when we're out in the community, we help with Illuminate, just on the gates, scanning the tickets in, and so those guys have come along and helped as well, and that's been also great for their English skills, their interlinking with the community again.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like those sort of things. We've helped with just a recent one was the Coastal Run. Was a new event for us. I think it's been run 2 or 3 times by the new people, and that was just the local guys that run these events, as you'd know, and they come back, and it's really great that they're running the events in their hometown. They don't live here. They've got businesses, Queenstown, Christchurch, all over, but they come in and it helps the vibrancy of Timaru, South Canterbury, and it also helps, we provide our services, they'll give us a donation for our club, and then that will all come back into the community as well. Yeah, so it's a win-win.
Yes, very much. But as you can understand, we have a hot dog van, which you've also seen, and of course that's part of our fundraiser. Because we're doing things like the Rotary Youth Leadership Awards program, which is a week-long program in Queenstown, and there's also one in Christchurch, for young professionals to gain extra professional skill, to grow their own competency as young professionals, does cost something. So to fund that, we need to be able to have a fundraising side of things, and the hot dog van very much does that. Also, the Rotary Youth Driver Awareness Program for young 16-year-olds who are still at school, whether they are drivers or whether they are passengers, is a program around safety. The next one is coming up in late April. We would love people that are listening to this and can assist in a financial way to come back to us on that. But again, it's a funding thing. Also, on a wider scheme of things, we have an international reach out, and currently we have just completed funding a partial cost of school toilets in Nepal.
Oh, wow.
We have done that in a couple of occasions over the last number of years to assist with young girls and women who are still at school, needing to have better sanitation services. And of course, Nepal is not a rich country, and Rotary over there provide toilets specifically for girls and girl pupils to actually feel that they can go to school 100% of the time, and by doing that means that their education is better. And the more their education becomes better, the more Nepal will become an area where there is a social reconnection of women being involved not only in the home but also in business and in government.
Yeah.
And that's where we can assist in a neutral way to bring them along and to get more women and girls involved in the society of Nepal. Again, that costs money, and we love doing that because we know the only way to change the world is by giving opportunities to people.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, over the years we've helped, as Lionel said, fund some toilets. We've also helped with a health hub, building of a health hub, because in the more remote areas there is no hospitals, there is no doctors. There's still the need. So by building these pretty primitive health hubs, that they can access better health,
On to, I guess, South Canterbury as a region. You spent most of your time here, aside from the period of time you spent in Dunedin, and you married into South Canterbury, which we're glad to have you, Lionel. What are the things about South Canterbury in general that you enjoy?
South Canterbury has everything. Unfortunately, like Rotary sometimes, we actually don't blow our horn well enough and specifically enough for other people to actually understand what we have. And I think that with collaboration, and if there's one word that we need to get fixed in our heads, and this is whether you're the mayor or council or the chamber, is collaboration is the key for us to be able to, because we're so small, we need to collaborate, but I don't think we do, because maybe traditionally we haven't. We need to explore that, and in my vision, a South Canterbury that's successful, not only in business, but also in our community and in our tourism, we need to collaborate more and actually get stuff done, rather than having probably just one point of view. And I think that the more collaboration, the more successful South Canterbury is going to be, because it is fantastic. And I know that there is a group of people, and probably quite a large ones, that say, don't tell people because we don't want to destroy it. But as long as we do it well, then we're not destroying it, we're just making it better.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got younger grandchildren, we've got older grandchildren living in Christchurch, but we've got younger grandchildren here, and giving them the opportunities, and we are only 2 hours from Christchurch, 2 hours from Dunedin, being involved in sporting clubs, drama league, scouts, all of those sort of things. When you travel with the teams or you go away, watching them represent in our secondary schools as well, we are really well served in South Canterbury, and we punch well above our weight in so many ways, and with attitudes and stuff like that. And it's always a pride in our area, to see the green and black uniform when they're playing. Doesn't matter what they're playing, whether they win or not. It doesn't matter. We've got a granddaughter that plays rugby in Christchurch and was part of the Canterbury development team. Recently playing here at Fraser Park, they came down and she was raving about Fraser Park, and the facility. The whole tournament was held here. But it didn't matter whether they won or lost. We were a showcase, of and the people that came here then, I'd say, have you gone down this, have you had a look at this, have you done this walk? When they'd say, what's there to do, where can we go? She knew, she was able to tell her team, we're going to go down and have a ninja challenge at Sea Play, and they did their warm down in Caroline Bay, and she knew the tricks, that it doesn't get deep very quickly. So she just bent down and they said they had to go out to shoulder level, so she just bent down, because it takes an age out there at Caroline Bay to get to shoulder level. But in South Canterbury we are so close to all amenities. And we had an Austrian student, and it always stuck in my mind that the first day that we took her around our area, and we were down here on the beach, and she said, "Can you take my photo?" Because she said, "Where else am I going to get the mountains with the snow?" This is the winter. Mountains with the snow in the background, and me standing in the beach, and I'm from Austria. And she was just so blown away. And I think that's the thing, you know. It's the photography, it's the weather, close to snowboarding or water skiing, or just some neat places to go. And I always recommend that people do the loop up through the Mackenzie Basin, down through Amarama, down through the Waitaki Valley, because that's absolutely amazing as you come back down through. But not everybody has the opportunity to do that, or actually know that it's quite a nice route to do. And there's so many more bike trails now, you know, that's becoming a focus for a lot of people too. And we've planted some trees out the cycle way on the way to Pleasant Point. And it just helps with that. We've been working away on the trees at times, and the cyclist comes through and say thank you. You know, it's really cool, and that's nice.
Yeah, cool.
You know,
that's awesome, eh? Yeah. So plenty to do. Yeah.
Yeah, there is plenty to do. You just got to get out and just even take a walk. You know, took my granddaughter yesterday. While one was at music, and I just walked the other one down through the Bay Viaduct and back up through here. Even every time that I do that, I'll find something new that's happened. Whether there's a new pathway, there's some more trees being planted, just down in this area. You know, it doesn't take much. It just takes a half-hour walk, and you'll always find something new, and you come home invigorated.
Yeah,
you know?
Definitely. Now, Lionel and Lynette, I've really, really enjoyed this conversation, and I appreciate your time. And to finish, I've got two final questions. The first is, what does the Chamber of Commerce do and provide to our region?
The Chamber is fantastic at giving its members the ability to network and to socialise, to train, to experience probably big city ability of skill and training in a smaller environment. Yeah,
Definitely.
And it is the opportunities of the younger business people starting out in business and getting that mentorship from some people that have been in business for a long time. And that's a win-win for both, because some of the older ones can pick up ideas from the younger ones.
Definitely. And my final question is, what is one piece of advice that you wish someone gave you when you first started out on your journey?
Don't stress.
Don't stress. I love that.
Don't stress the small stuff, and just take every opportunity. It took a while for me to understand that, but now that's what I say, you know, to grandkids, to anybody else. Just if somebody offers you the opportunity, just take it. Sort it out later how you're going to do it, but just pick up the opportunity. You never know where that's going to lead you, and yeah, don't stress.
For me, is always take every opportunity, because you never know how long you have. And that was a lesson that I learned at age 29 when I found that I only had one leg, is to take that transition from maybe seeing the glass as half empty to seeing the glass as half full, or even absolutely all the way full, because the more you do, the more you experience. And sometimes the horizon is too low for people that they think that they can achieve. It's a wonderful life, and we only have one of them. It's not a run through.
Thank you both very much. Really appreciate that, and great to do this interview at such a beautiful location. So,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Ben. Well done.
Great job, team.